One, dreams don't work unless you do. You can talk about where you're going, but if your habits don't match your hopes, your destiny will never know your name. You can pray for purpose, but if you don't wake up with discipline, all you'll have are good intentions and no impact. Success doesn't show up for the talented, it shows up for the trained. The late nights, the early mornings, the unseen sacrifices. That's the work that molds your future. Discipline is the bridge between the vision you saw and the life you live. 2, your future is built one choice at a time. Destiny isn't a destination, it's a direction. And every day, with every decision, you're either walking towards your greatness or drifting away from it. You don't fall into excellence. You fight for it. You don't stumble into integrity. You stand for it. Discipline is doing what's right even when it's not comfortable, even when it's not easy, even when nobody's watching. Because eventually, your private discipline will show up in your public results. 3, the shortcut is a setup. Everybody wants to promise, but nobody wants to process. They want the spotlight without the sweat. But what you skip today, you'll pay for tomorrow. Discipline says, I'll do it the hard way, the right way, because I know who I'm becoming. Taking the long road builds something inside you that comfort never will. Character. And your character will take you places your talent never could. It's not just about what you do, it's about what you endure and who you become while you're doing it. 4, discipline is remembering what you said you wanted. When motivation fades, saying it will, discipline is what keeps you moving. Discipline doesn't ask, how do I feel? It declares, this is who I am. It's not emotion, it's identity. You don't need hype. You need habits. You don't need applause. You need alignment. Because the version of you that steps into destiny, that person is disciplined. That person kept going when it got hard. That person said no to what was easy and yes to what was eternal. Discipline is remembering what you said you wanted. There will come a day when the excitement wears off. The music fades, the motivation runs dry, and the crowd that once cheered is nowhere to be found. In that moment, it won't be inspiration that carries you, it will be discipline. Not the discipline that shows up when it's easy or exciting, but the kind that stands tall in the face of resistance, fatigue, boredom, and distraction. The kind that remembers what you said you wanted when everything around you is trying to make you forget. Discipline is not a feeling, it is a decision. And the life you're trying to build, the dream you're reaching for, it doesn't respond to emotion, it responds to consistency. Discipline doesn't ask for your permission. It doesn't wait for the perfect mood. It doesn't need the weather to be right, the money to be there, or the schedule to be clear. It doesn't need your energy, it builds it. Discipline doesn't beg for your approval, it commands your respect. It is the quiet engine under the hood, driving you forward when the rest of the world is asleep. You don't always see it, you don't always feel it, but you better believe it's always working. That's the thing about discipline. It works in the shadows. It does its job when nobody is clapping. It wakes you up when your alarm clock sounds like an insult to your comfort. It tells you yes to the grind and no to the excuse. It doesn't wait for the hype to show up. It shows up anyway. And the more you lean into that kind of lifestyle, the more you realize this isn't about proving something to anybody else. This is about proving something to the version of you that made a promise. You said you wanted to be great. You said you wanted to break the cycle, change the story, defy the odds. You said you wanted to build a legacy, create something meaningful, live with purpose, die with no regrets. Those words didn't come from your weakness. They came from your strength. They came from the deepest part of your soul that knows you were made for more. Discipline is what keeps that part of you alive when everything else wants to settle for less. See, it's easy to want it when it's fresh. When you first see the vision, feel the energy, catch the fire, it's easy to say, I'm in. But discipline is about what happens after that. After the emotion wears off, after the excitement fades, after the pain sets in, that's when the real decision gets made. That's when you stop saying, I want it, and start saying, I'm willing to fight for it. Because if you're not willing to suffer for the thing you said you wanted, then you never really wanted it in the first place. And let's get this straight. Discipline doesn't mean perfection. It means persistence. It means showing up when you're tired, doing the work when you're not in the mood, saying no to comfort when comfort would be so much easier. It's falling and getting back up, failing and learning, tripping and still moving forward. Because discipline doesn't demand that you be flawless, it demands that you be faithful. This is why so many people quit, because they expect motivation to carry them across the finish line. But motivation is a moment, discipline is a mindset. Motivation is loud and flashy. Discipline is quiet and relentless. Motivation burns fast, discipline burns long. One will get you started, the other will get you finished. You have to understand that greatness isn't born in the spotlight. It's forged in the dark. It's formed in the gym when no one's watching, in the office, after hours, in the early morning run, in the late night grind. It's built in the conversations you have with yourself, when no one else is there to hype you up, when your only cheerleader is the memory of who you said you were going to become. And this is where most people get it twisted. They think success is about talent, about connections, about having the right look or the right luck. But discipline levels the playing field. You might not be the most gifted. You might not have the most resources. You might not come from a background that looks impressive on paper, but if you have discipline, you have an edge. Because talent without discipline is wasted potential, and potential without work is just a fantasy. Discipline makes you dangerous. It makes you consistent. It makes you resilient. Because when everyone else is taking shortcuts, discipline takes the long road. When others are looking for a way out, discipline digs in deeper. When comfort calls, discipline doesn't answer, because it remembers. It remembers the tears you cried when you were tired of being average. It remembers the nights you stayed up thinking, there's got to be more than this. It remembers the voice inside that said, you're meant for something greater. Discipline never forgets, even when you do. And here's the truth. There will be days when your mind wants to quit, when your body wants to give out, when your emotions are screaming, just take a break. But that's when discipline speaks up. And it doesn't whisper, it shouts. It reminds you of your purpose. It pulls you back to your standard. It says, we don't fold under pressure. We rise in it. It says, we don't negotiate with laziness. We execute. It says, we don't follow feelings. We follow through. The world doesn't reward the one who almost made it. It doesn't hand out trophies for good intentions. It honors the ones who kept their word when it was hard. The ones who stayed locked in when everyone else checked out. The ones who knew the cost and paid it in full. That's what discipline does. It pays the price today so you can collect the reward tomorrow. You got to stop letting your feelings write your future. You got to stop letting distractions decide your destiny. You got to stop letting fear keep you from finishing what you started. You have too much calling, too much purpose, too much potential to throw it away on comfort. Discipline says, no more excuses. Discipline says, I'm done negotiating with my weakness. Discipline says, this is the life I chose, and I'm going to live it on purpose. There is a version of you waiting on the other side of discipline. A version that is stronger, sharper, wiser, more focused, more grounded. A version that doesn't fold under pressure. A version that doesn't break when things get tough. That version is not created by accident. It's forged through sacrifice, through routine, through repetition, through the daily choice to show up, even when it's hard. Discipline is more than just a habit, it's a lifestyle. It's a declaration that you're not going to live at the mercy of moods, that you're not going to be tossed around by emotion, that you're going to build your life on principle, on consistency, on purpose, that you're going to wake up every day and take authority over your choices, that you're not waiting for life to hand you something. You're building something with your bare hands. You have to decide what matters more, the moment or the mission, because they won't always agree. The moment will beg you to settle. The mission will require you to sacrifice. The moment will tempt you to quit. The mission will remind you why you started. The moment will offer you comfort. The mission will demand your commitment. The ones who reach their destiny are the ones who choose the mission every time. Discipline doesn't mean you always feel strong. It means you keep moving even when you feel weak. It means you lean on your habits when your emotions try to betray you. It means you don't let your current mood rewrite your long-term goals. Because the life you said you wanted, it's still waiting. And the only thing standing between you and that life is how disciplined you're willing to become. So keep your word to your dreams, to your future, to the person you're becoming. Because discipline remembers. It remembers the pain that pushed you, the purpose that drives you, the passion that fuels you. It remembers the promise you made when you were tired of being average. And when you get tempted to go backward, to take the easy road, to cut corners or shrink back, that same discipline will step in and remind you, this is who you said you were going to be. So act like it, live like it, move like it, lead like it. That's what discipline does. It doesn't just help you survive, it helps you build, it helps you win, it helps you rise, it helps you become the person you told yourself you were meant to be. It won't always be loud, it won't always be celebrated, but it will always be necessary because the dream still matters, the purpose still calls, and the promise still stands. Discipline is not glamorous, it doesn't post selfies, it doesn't show off, it doesn't beg for recognition. It's not looking for a stage, it's building a legacy. It's not chasing attention, it's chasing alignment. And if you're going to walk into the life you claimed, if you're going to hold the trophy of transformation, you'll need to fall in love with the part of the journey that nobody else sees. Because that's where champions are made in the unseen. That's where destinies are shaped when no one's clapping and nothing is easy. Every day, you are either training your discipline or betraying it. You are either investing in your future or stealing from it. You are either acting like the person you said you would become or making excuses for why you're not. Discipline is not about being hard on yourself, it's about being honest with yourself. It's about looking in the mirror and saying, I won't let my feelings rob me of my future. I won't let my cravings cancel my calling. What separates the person who finishes from the one who fades out isn't talent. It's the ability to keep showing up when the hype is gone, to keep grinding when no one is watching, to keep executing the small things with excellence, knowing that the small things always turn into big things. And that's the secret. Discipline doesn't just build greatness, it reveals it. It uncovers the strength that was already inside you. It sharpens your focus, cleans your heart, clears your mind, and hardens your resolve. Discipline is freedom in disguise. It may feel like sacrifice at first, but over time, it becomes power. Power over procrastination, power over fear, power over distraction, power over that voice that says you can't. Because every time you choose discipline, you silence doubt. Every time you show up and do the work, you build trust with yourself. And that trust becomes unstoppable momentum. The kind of momentum that can tear down walls, that can break generational chains, that can rewrite the story of your entire bloodline. But you have to make a decision. Are you going to flirt with your goals or fight for them? Are you going to dance with the idea of success or go to war for your destiny? Because dreams don't surrender to the curious. They surrender to the committed. The ones who put their heads down and do the hard thing. The ones who stop looking for motivation and start creating structure. The ones who say, this is not optional, this is who I am now. It takes a certain kind of mentality to walk in that kind of discipline. A mindset that refuses to let the outside world determine the internal standard. A mindset that doesn't bow to convenience. A mindset that remembers the cost of complacency. Because the truth is, every time you choose not to push, not to show up, not to go all in, you're teaching yourself to live with less than you're capable of. You're getting comfortable in a cage that discipline was designed to break you out of. You weren't made to live on autopilot. You weren't made to drift. You were made to dominate. And domination starts with devotion. Devotion to the mission. Devotion to the goal. Devotion to the work. The problem isn't your ability, it's your consistency. The gap between who you are and who you want to be is not bridged by chance, it's crossed by choice. Every single day. You don't leap into greatness. You step into I-tone, discipline, choice at a time. Discipline doesn't just show up in the gym or in your career, it shows up in how you speak, how you think, how you respond, how you love, how you serve. It governs every part of your life. It demands that you stop playing small, that you stop shrinking to fit into places you were never meant to stay in. Discipline demands expansion, and expansion never happens in comfort zones. There will be days when you feel nothing, no fire, no spark, no fuel. That's when you learn the real weight of discipline. When you have to dig deeper than motivation. When you have to lead yourself from memory, remembering what you said when you were clear. That's why you write down your goals. That's why you rehearse your vision. Because discipline draws strength from the promises you made when your soul was awake. You might feel like quitting, like letting it all go, like the dream is too far and the journey is too painful. That's when you have to ask yourself, what did I say I wanted? Who did I say I was going to be? Because you don't get to rewrite your vision every time life gets difficult. Discipline holds you to the standard you set when you were inspired. It refuses to let you downgrade your dream just to match your comfort level. If anything, discipline raises your game. This is how empires are built, not in one moment of greatness, but in 1,000 moments of self-control. The hard truth is that discipline costs you now, but regret costs you forever. Regret is what happens when you say yes to comfort and no to calling. Regret is what shows up when you realize you had the strength but not the structure. Regret is the invoice you pay for every time you quit on yourself. But discipline is the receipt for every win you didn't see coming. It may not make sense to everybody. It may look extreme. People will say, why are you so serious? Why are you always working? Why don't you just relax? But they don't see what you see. They didn't hear what you heard. They didn't feel what you felt. They weren't there when you made the promise. So they don't get a vote. Discipline doesn't need applause. It needs alignment. And when you're aligned with your purpose, silence is enough. There will always be easier options, faster paths, quicker routes. But those are detours disguised as deliverance. Every shortcut cuts you off from something valuable. Every compromise robs you of something eternal. You can't microwave mastery. You can't fast track faithfulness. You have to grind your way through the process. You have to prove to life that you're not just interested, you're invested. And the proof is in your discipline. When you wake up in the morning, your decisions have already been made, not based on how you feel, but based on who you are. You don't have to negotiate with yourself. You don't have to wonder, should I show up? You already know the answer. That's what discipline does. It makes your identity louder than your excuses. It says, this is what we do, this is how we move, this is who we are. And make no mistake, the world is not waiting for another person with potential. It's waiting for someone with discipline, someone who follows through, someone who keeps their word, someone who doesn't flinch when the pressure rises, someone who remembers who they said they were going to be and lives like it. The process will get lonely, the sacrifice will sting, the journey will stretch you, but what you gain is always greater than what you lose. You lose comfort, but you gain courage. You lose distraction, but you gain direction. You lose impulse, but you gain influence. You lose the temporary, but you gain the eternal. Discipline isn't just about outcomes, it's about ownership. Owning your time, owning your thoughts, owning your voice, owning your response, owning your decisions, owning your energy. You don't get to blame life, blame people, blame the system. When you live with discipline, you take back your power. You stop being reactive. You start being intentional. Because at the end of the day, discipline isn't about what you can do. It's about what you're willing to do repeatedly. Anybody can be great once. Anybody can show up one time. But discipline is about the again when you're tired, the again when you're stressed, the again when you're uninspired. That again is what separates the successful from the almost. You'll start to see a shift, not just in your results, but in your identity. Because discipline has a way of changing how you see yourself. You stop identifying with weakness. You stop relating to failure. You stop living like a victim of your own choices. You stop saying, I can't, and start declaring, I will. That kind of language belongs to the discipline. Eventually, the world will see what you've built, the fruit will show, the progress will be undeniable, but long before that happens, discipline will see it. It will see what's coming before it ever arrives. And that's why it fights so hard. That's why it shows up early and stays late. That's why it stays locked in, even when the results haven't come. Because discipline knows that destiny doesn't need applause to be achieved. It just needs consistency. This is what you signed up for. Not perfection, but progress. Not applause, but alignment. Not recognition, but revelation. And every day, with every action, you're either honoring that commitment or drifting from it. Discipline calls you back. It calls you higher. It calls you forward. It whispers in your ear when the pain gets loud. Don't forget what you said. Don't forget who you are. Don't forget why you started. Discipline is the guardian at the gates of your destiny. It stands between the version of you that merely dreams and the version of you that delivers. It keeps watch when your motivation falls asleep. It speaks up when your feelings grow too loud. And it pushes back against the part of you that wants to compromise every time things get uncomfortable. Because discipline doesn't negotiate with comfort, it dominates it. It doesn't seek comfort's permission, it breaks its grip. And it does so with consistency, with clarity, and with a commitment to the bigger picture. You didn't come this far to let laziness lead you. You didn't put in all those late nights, early mornings, and painful sacrifices just to let comfort creep in and steal what's already in reach. Discipline remembers. It recalls the pain that woke you up. It recalls the fire that got you started. It recalls the frustration of being stuck, of being average, of being overlooked, and it says, we're not going back to that life. Not now. Not ever. Every act of discipline is a declaration. I refuse to live beneath my potential. I will not settle. I will not break. Let them call you obsessed. Let them say you're extreme, that you work too much, that you try too hard. Because those are the voices of those who quit. Those are the opinions of the uncommitted. Those are the comments of those who bowed to comfort instead of rising to commitment. Discipline doesn't explain itself to the distracted. It doesn't seek validation from the unmotivated. It has one job: to turn your vision into victory, to turn your promise into performance, to take your desire and stretch it into discipline. And make no mistake, there will always be a war inside. A war between what's convenient and what's called, between what feels good and what builds you, between the version of you that wants ease and the version of you that demands excellence. Discipline doesn't avoid that. War, it wages it. It goes to battle for the life you said you wanted every single day. You know why most people don't change? Because they try to live disciplined in public while living distracted in private. They want the results without the routine, the spotlight without the solitude, the outcome without the ownership. But discipline starts in the dark, in the places no one sees, in the choices no one applauds, in the moments when no one is watching and you still do the right thing. That's where integrity is born. That's where greatness begins. You can't cheat the process. You can't fake consistency. You can't pretend to be disciplined for long. Sooner or later, your habits will tell the truth about what you really value. Your calendar will reveal it. Your actions will expose it. Your fruit will prove it. And when that time comes, only one question will matter. Did you remember what you said you wanted? Or did you forget in favor of what was easy? Discipline is about alignment. When your actions match your ambition, when your daily grind reflects your deepest goals, when the way you live finally matches the way you speak. A lot of people talk big. They post quotes. They say all the right things. But discipline is quiet. It doesn't boast. It just builds. It doesn't impress. It progresses. You don't need to announce every move. Just let your results speak the loudest. Let your consistency do the talking. Let your endurance prove the power of your decision. You're going to be tempted to compromise, to cut corners, to make small trade-offs that seem harmless. But discipline sees those small decisions for what they really are. Tests. Tests of who you are. Tests of how bad you want it. Tests of how deeply your identity is rooted in your goals. Because if you can be talked out of your dream by a little inconvenience, then you never owned it. You only borrowed it. So how do you build that kind of discipline? You decide. You decide that no matter how you feel, no matter what comes your way, no matter how long it takes, you will not stop. You will not fold. You will not let go of the life you saw when your heart was wide open and your soul was fully awake. You train your body to obey your mission. You train your mind to serve your purpose. You train your habits to build your legacy. And yes, it's going to hurt. It's going to stretch you. There will be times when you'll question whether it's worth it. But remember this, pain is temporary. Purpose is eternal. The temporary discomfort of discipline will never cost as much as the permanent weight of regret. Every time you say no to weakness, you're saying yes to strength. Every time you show up tired, you're training your character. Every time you stay consistent, you're proving you're ready for the next level. People love the idea of the next level, but they don't understand the discipline it demands. New levels require new habits. Bigger blessings require broader shoulders. Greater impact requires deeper roots. You can't level up without locking in. You can't rise without routine. That's why discipline is the foundation. You can have all the vision in the world, but without discipline, your vision becomes a memory. Without discipline, your future becomes a fantasy. You can't fake fire. You can't pretend to be focused. Eventually, the cracks will show. But discipline is the fire that won't go out. It's the steady burn that carries you when the flash is gone. It's the internal resolve that doesn't depend on who's supporting you, liking your post, cheering you on. Discipline says, even if I walk alone, I still walk. Even if no one sees me grinding, I still grind. Even if I don't feel it today, I still show up like I do. You have to protect that flame, because the world will try to dim it, life will try to distract it, but discipline guards it, discipline feeds it, discipline fans it into something fierce, something immovable, something unstoppable, the kind of fire that scares your excuses, the kind of fire that silences fear, the kind of fire that burns through doubt, discouragement, and disappointment. You said you wanted change, you said you wanted greatness, you said you wanted to rise, then stop waiting for the conditions to be perfect. Stop waiting for someone to push you. Stop waiting for your emotions to line up. Start moving. Start executing. Start becoming. Discipline is not about waiting, it's about working. It's about taking the dream off the shelf and getting your hands dirty. It's about sweating for what you said you wanted. Because the truth is, nobody is coming to save you. Nobody's going to hold your hand and make you disciplined. It's on you. You have to build your own structure. You have to make your own rules. You have to create your own standard and live by it even when no one is watching. That's what grown people do. That's what leaders do. That's what world changers do. And don't be fooled. Discipline is not always loud. It's not always bold. Sometimes it's just choosing water over soda, reading instead of scrolling, going to bed early instead of staying up late, saying no to gossip, saying yes to growth. It's stacking tiny wins until your life becomes unrecognizable, until you look in the mirror and no longer see who you used to be, but who you were always meant to become. That's what happens when discipline becomes your lifestyle. It changes how you walk, how you speak, how you carry yourself. You don't beg anymore, you build. You don't chase anymore, you create. You don't complain, you conquer. Because you know what it took to get here. You know what it cost. And you refuse to go back to the version of yourself that lived by feelings instead of faithfulness. This isn't just about achieving goals. This is about identity, about integrity, about choosing the hard path now so you can walk in the reward later. About knowing that the greatest version of you doesn't come from hope and it comes from honoring your habits, from mastering the moment, from deciding that discipline is not a burden, it's a bridge between the life you've lived and the life you were born for. So stop waiting for it to get easier. It won't. You'll just get stronger. Stop hoping for the perfect moment. It won't come. You'll just get wiser. Stop expecting it to feel good all the time. It won't. But you'll grow. You'll stretch. You'll rise. You'll become. And when you do, you'll look back and say, it was worth it. Every hard day, every lonely moment, every sacrifice, every rejection, every tear, every ounce of pressure, it was all worth it. Because now you walk with authority. Now you live with clarity. Now you move with conviction. And it all started the day you decided to stop quitting on yourself. The day you stopped chasing feelings and started chasing your future. The day you said, I'm done playing small. I'm done letting comfort control me. I'm done letting fear freeze me. I remember what I said, and I'm living like it.